It's 2:47 a.m., and you're awake again. Not because anything woke you, because sleep never went deep enough to keep you under. Your jaw aches the way it does most mornings now, clenched shut sometime in the night without your permission. Your legs feel restless under the sheets. And underneath all of it, a low hum of dread that has no object, no deadline attached to it. Nothing you could point to and say, "That's why. You'll get up in a few hours and do this again." You've been calling it burnout for months. You took the time off. You went to bed earlier. You cut back on drinking. None of it moved the needle. That's usually the tell. Burnout is supposed to respond to rest. This hasn't. There's a mineral deficiency that produces almost this exact picture. The exhaustion, the wired 3 a.m. mind, the aching jaw, the anxiety without a story. And it has nothing to do with your job or your boundaries. It's magnesium. And the reason it gets missed for years is that the blood test almost everyone gets isn't built to catch it. We'll get to the number that actually matters. First, here's why this mineral touches almost everything burnout touches, which is exactly why the two get confused. Magnesium is a required cofactor in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the human body. According to the NIH, energy production, nervous system regulation, cortisol control, sleep architecture, muscle function. It's not that magnesium deficiency happens to resemble burnout. It's that magnesium sits at the intersection of nearly every system burnout also disrupts. An estimated 48% of Americans consume less magnesium than their estimated average requirement, according to a widely cited analysis of National Nutrition Survey data. This isn't a rare deficiency in a narrow population. It's common, quiet, and almost never on the list when someone shows up describing exhaustion and anxiety. Start with why your mind won't quiet down, because this is the mechanism most people never hear explained. Magnesium sits inside a specific channel on the N-matter receptor, one of the brain's primary excitatory receptors, and acts like a gate, keeping neurons from firing too easily. When magnesium runs low, that gate opens. Neurons fire more readily, with less inhibition holding them back. The nervous system runs hot at baseline. It doesn't feel dramatic. It feels like small things landing harder than they should. A mind that won't downshift. A low hum that's always slightly on. It feels, in other words, exactly like a nervous system worn down by too much stress for too long. Which is what makes it so easy to misname. Here's where it gets self-perpetuating. And it's the part that explains why rest alone doesn't fix it. Magnesium normally acts as a brake on cortisol release. It keeps your stress hormone from overshooting the actual size of the stressor. Strip magnesium away, and that brake weakens. Cortisol runs higher, longer, and slower to come back down. But cortisol also increases how much magnesium your kidneys flush out. So the more stressed you are, the less magnesium you retain. And the less magnesium you have, the harder your body reacts to the next stressor. It's a loop, not a straight line. Someone can spend months trying to lower their stress and never realize their body has lost the mineral it needs to actually respond to that lower stress. By the time they book a doctor's appointment to talk about burnout, the cycle may already be months or years deep. Sleep is where this becomes hardest to argue with. Magnesium regulates GABA, the brain's calming neurotransmitter that allows sleep to deepen, and it supports melatonin production and the slow-wave sleep responsible for physical recovery. When it's low, you can still fall asleep. Exhaustion takes care of that. But you don't stay under. You surface around 2 or 3 a.m., mind already awake, body still needing rest it isn't getting. Mornings arrive feeling like the night didn't fully count, no matter how many hours were technically logged. This is not a discipline problem or a screen time problem. It's architecture, not duration. And no earlier bedtime fixes a structural gap. This exact pattern, easy sleep onset, early hours waking, a mind that switches straight on, a body that never feels restored, shows up in both burnout and magnesium deficiency for entirely different reasons. In burnout, it's cortisol dysregulation disrupting the sleep-wake cycle. In magnesium deficiency, it's GABA and melatonin production falling short. The sleep pattern looks identical from the outside. What's driving it is not. There are physical tells that separate this from ordinary burnout, if anyone's looking for them. Muscle cramps, especially at night, especially in the calves and feet, because magnesium is what allows a contracted muscle to actually release, and without enough of it, muscles seize more easily than they let go. The jaw clenching, the teeth grinding you wake up sore from, same mechanism, Different muscle group. One of the most common and least recognized signs of low magnesium there is, and it compounds the poor sleep further by producing tension headaches that are already present the moment you wake. And heart palpitations. A skip, a flutter, a thud at rest that sends people to a cardiologist for a workup that comes back completely normal, because magnesium regulates the electrical pump that keeps heart rhythm stable, and the heart itself is structurally fine. The mineral running its wiring is not. So here's the test we promised, the number that actually tells you what's happening, because the one most people get doesn't. Standard serum magnesium only measures what's floating in your blood, and blood holds barely 1% of your body's total magnesium. Your body works hard to keep that number looking normal, pulling reserves from bone and muscle tissue to protect it, right up until those reserves are seriously depleted, which means you can have a normal blood result while every cell in your body is running a deficit. What actually reflects your status is red blood cell magnesium, RBC magnesium, measuring what's stored inside the cells instead of what's passing through the blood. Most people who've had magnesium checked have only ever had the serum version and been told it's normal, which may be true of the blood while being false of the body. It's also worth knowing why this has become so common in the first place. The magnesium content of produce has dropped significantly over the past several decades due to soil depletion from modern farming. A vegetable grown today typically carries less magnesium than the same vegetable grown 70 years ago. The foods richest in magnesium, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, legumes, whole grains, are also foods a lot of people simply don't eat enough of, while heavily processed food, which makes up a large share of the modern diet, contains almost none. On top of that, widespread use of acid-reducing medications directly impairs magnesium absorption in the gut. The FDA issued a formal warning in 2011 that long-term use of these drugs can cause clinically significant magnesium loss, in some cases severe enough to trigger seizures or heart rhythm problems. Alcohol and high sugar intake both increase how much magnesium the kidneys excrete. None of this is anyone's fault. It's a quiet structural squeeze that's been building for years before the exhaustion ever shows up. If a low RBC magnesium is confirmed, correcting it isn't complicated. Magnesium glycinate, malate, or threonate are the forms best absorbed and least likely to cause the digestive upset associated with cheaper forms like magnesium oxide. Most adults start around 300 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium daily. Sleep and muscle cramping often improve within 1 to 2 weeks. The anxiety and the mental fog take longer, usually 4 to 8 weeks of consistent repletion, before cellular stores are genuinely rebuilt. These are the signs that mean it's worth testing, not pushing through. 1. Exhaustion that doesn't lift even after real rest. 2. Waking in the early hours with a mind that switches straight on.